All right, so those are some forms of reinforcement, contingent versus non-contingent reinforcement. What I'd like to talk about now are the things that either increase or decrease the value of our reinforcers for an individual, okay? But first, what you need to do prior to doing that is figuring out what is and is not reinforcing to the person that I'm working with. Because remember, what's reinforcing to one individual is going to be isn't going to be reinforcing to another. So what we do is we conduct preference assessments. You can do this in a variety of different ways. You might see it in a form of environmental preference assessment, where you just kind of put out a variety of items in front of the kiddo and you just kind of say, all right, what do you want? Or you watch them, right? And you see what it is they pick up and gravitate towards. So then you know that you can isolate these items out, or you might want to even take pictures of those things, put them on a choice board to increase the successfulness of them as really increasing their motivation to attend to tasks. So you can do it kind of in that anecdotal form, or you can also use something that we call a two-choice preference assessment. There's also a forced choice preference assessment. Depending on your learner, as well as the environment that you're in, you would choose one or the other. But this is a nice way to really categorize and create a hierarchy of what's most valuable to what's least valuable for reinforcers. This will be in your module if you want to take another peek at it. But what can be useful about that is you might say, all right, those ones that demonstrate to be the most or second most valuable reinforcers, I'm not going to use those during my teaching sessions. Instead, I'm going to save them. I'm going to use them for maybe some really, really important skills or behaviors that I want to increase, so that I isolate it and that really ramps up the motivation, or what we call creates an establishing operation, which we'll talk about more in a few minutes, okay? Another way that you can conduct preference assessments is just doing something like a reinforcement inventory. Okay, this is a very lengthy document. I can put it online for you as well to see, but it goes through and it's more of a survey that is used for a discussion with parents or team members at school to analyze what might be the most motivating things for the child or individual you're working with, okay? All right, so we talked a little bit about how we analyze our preferences here, but as a general rule, especially when we do DTI, I try to do preference assessments as often as possible, okay? So even when you sit down and you've been working with a kid all year, it's the end of the school year, last week of school, I'm still going to take out, maybe I have a box of things that I know that he enjoys, I'm still going to take them out and put a few things in front of him and say, hey, you know, what are you interested in? Because what can be motivating to him one week, most likely is not going to be motivating to him the next. And we'll talk a little bit more about satiation principles, but if a kiddo has access to one thing over and over and over again, they're going to get bored of it. And it's going to decrease the value of that item, or have what we call an abolishing operation. It decreases the effectiveness of a item to act as a reinforcer. Okay? All right. So I'm going to put these away and zoom out so that you can see our screen, and we'll talk a little bit more about establishing and abolishing operations.